This 7'3" Kristaps Porzingis build is an unstoppable offensive threat in NBA 2K24. This build is an elite scorer at all three levels and also has an amazing post game. But with all of that out of the way, let me show you guys how to make this build. Let's go. All right, so starting off with the body settings, we're going to be going with the center position. Height, 7'3", 7'3" wingspan, 230 pounds. So max height, minimum weight at that height, and then also minimum wingspan. All right, so starting things off in the finishing, we're going to have an 86 close shot, which is going to get you fearless finisher on gold, as well as hook specialist on gold. We're also going to have a 72 driving layup on this build, a 70 driving dunk, which is going to get you access to the Karl Anthony Towns dunk package, which is really good in this year's game. And then we're also going to have a 90 standing dunk, which is going to get you the elite big man standing contact dunks, as well as gold rise up and gold precision dunker. And then lastly, we're going to have an 85 post control, which is going to get you things like post spin technician on gold, as well as post fade phenom on Hall of Fame. Now let's take a look at some of these finishing highlights. And listen, man, you're going to be dominant out of the post. You're going to be able to mash. You're going to be able to hit post hooks without any issue. And then out of the pick and roll, you're going to be dominant down low with that 90 standing dunk. That's getting you all the big man contact dunks. You're also going to be 7'3", which means you're just going to be able to finish over people without any issue. Grab the offensive rebound right here. Just go right up with it. It's open. There's like a lot of people there, but it's still open. Don't worry. And that dominant inside game that you have is going to set up other things in the future with your shooting, because you're going to be an elite shooter on this build as well, where you could dominate down low in the post. You're going to be dominant in the pick and roll. Defenses are going to have to sit back to try and stop that, and that's when your pick and pop game is going to be super deadly on this build. And we'll get to that pick and pop game in just a minute, but again, we're talking about the finishing, and that's the other really good thing with using this type of build in pick and roll, is that if they do start forcing switches and you get the guard on you, you could take him in the post and dominate on this build down low with him on the switch. But to pretty much summarize this finishing category, you're going to be 7'3", you're going to have good finishing, you're going to be great out of the pick and roll, you're going to be great out of the post, and that's just enough said. All right, so now let's move on to the shooting, where you're going to get a 90 mid-range shot, which is actually going to get you access to gold blinders and gold dead eye on a 7'3" center. Now that is absolutely insane. The fact that you could get that high of a mid-range shot on a 7'3" to get those shooting badges. And then to top it all off, you're also going to get an 85 3-point shot, which is going to get you gold claymore as well as bronze limitless range, which means you could shoot from deep on a 7'3" stretch big. But now let's take a look at some of these shooting highlights. And I mentioned this in the finishing section. The pick and roll is going to help set up your pick and pop and vice versa. Once teams see that you could shoot lights out from the 3-point line as well, they can't sit in that drop coverage, and they can't really switch either, because if they switch, then you could take the switch mismatch into the post, and it's just the GG's from there as well. Oh, look at this. We grab the rebound. We're out on the break. Hit a blowout dribble into a fade. It is deep, and it is a open three, and it goes in. That's just the crazy stuff you can hit on these 7'3" stretch bigs. I understand I had sharp take, but still, just understand those are shots you can hit. And no matter what on this build, you're going to be a knockdown shooter. You're going to be able to shoot over people as well with that 7'3" height, with having that high 3-point shot. You're going to be able to create some shots off of the dribble as well, since you have such a high midi, such a high 3-point shot. But again, going back to the basics, pick and pop is just going to be automatic on this build. And looking at just these very few games that we have seen with the Boston Celtics, it's going to look like Porzingis is going to play a big part in their offense. They're definitely spamming a lot of pick and rolls and pick and pops, whether it's Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, even Derek White as the primary ball handler, and Porzingis as the screener who can go into a roll, into a pop, and it just sets up a whole lot with the Celtics offense. And then in those late shot clock situations, he can also put up a shot out of the post, which is some very important shot creation that this team needed. But now back to the build, and I'm not gonna lie to you guys, out of all of the stretch bigs that I have used this year, this was definitely one of the funnest to use, because I felt like it was by far the best build I've used out of the post and out of the pick and roll, which perfectly exemplifies Porzingis' game. Not entirely sure if I used that word correctly in a sentence, but hey, we're gonna roll with it. But yeah, no, long story short, being on a 7'3" stretch with a high 3-pointer while also having a 90 standing dunk it's kind of a weird combo, but I like it. It's actually a weird combo that kind of works well, because this is the type of build that you can't stop in the paint, you can't stop out at the 3-point line, and you just gotta pray to God I either miss or get a really bad animation that prevents me from scoring. All right, so now moving on to the playmaking, we're going to get a 75 pass accuracy, which is going to get you break starter on silver, as well as the Domantas Sabonis passing style, which is the best passing style you could use at this rating aside from just using none. Then moving on to the rest of the playmaking, we have a 65 ball control, which is going to get you access to a couple animations, which include Giannis Antetokounmpo's signature size up. And then we're also going to get a 40 speed with ball, which is going to get you normal dribble style, which is the best dribble style that you could get for this low of a speed with ball. It's going to allow you to speed boost pretty well in the half court, moving to your offhand. And then we're moving in a full court set. As you saw earlier on in this video, you can get some really crazy blowout dribble animations, which will help you create separation and allow you to move fast on the break. Now, like I have said in my previous videos, 75 pass accuracy is going to be serviceable. It's not elite, it's not 86, it's not 92, heck, it's not 95 or 96, it's 75, and you gotta know that. But with that being said, you could still definitely throw the fast break. You'll get some good passing animations here and there, and then every single other time you might get a balloon when you throw the ball, but it's okay. It's 75 pass accuracy. It's not going to be perfect. And then in the half court set, a 75 pass accuracy is going to be perfect. If you're not playing super competitive mode, you're just playing casually, you're playing rec, you're playing park, 75 pass accuracy is going to be just enough, okay? You don't really need elite pass accuracy unless if you're playing really competitive modes or you just want to be an elite playmaker. I mean, it's totally fine to be an elite playmaker, but if you want to get the job done and have just enough to get that done, you just need a 75. I'm not going to lie to you guys. All right, so now moving on to the defense, we're going to get an 82 interior defense on this build, so you can get post move lockdown on silver as well as workhorse on Hall of Fame. We're also going to have a 63 perimeter defense just so we can move a little bit on the perimeter, be able to actually contest jump shots and get a good contest percentage. And then moving on to your steal, we're just going to keep it at the 27, which is where it goes up to when you upgrade the interior defense to an 82. The reason we're keeping it so low is because we can't even get a 60 steal to get bronze interceptor with this low of a wingspan on the 7-3 anyways, so I don't see any real reason to upgrade the steal, because even with getting bronze interceptor, it's still kind of hard to play passing lane steals, and now since on this build we can't even get it, I don't see a reason to get it. Now moving on to the block, we're going to have a 77 block so you can get anchor on Browns. Now normally you usually want to go up to 78 so you can get chased on artist on silver, but since we're on a 7'3", this build is too slow that it does not meet the speed requirement to get chased on artist on silver, so we ended up going with just a 77 block. Then lastly, the rebounding, we're going to go with an 83 defensive rebound to get rebound chaser on silver and a 69 offensive rebound just so we can get some offensive rebounds. Now we ended up going with an 83 defensive rebound is because we cannot get enough strength on this build to get box out beast on gold, so we're only going to go with just an 83 defensive rebound just to get silver rebound chaser. Now moving on to the defensive highlights, listen, you can get blocks with a 77 block. That bronze anchor is going to be way better than most people are going to be willing to admit, and even though in a lot of situations you might not get a block as much as you're used to, you're definitely going to get some good enough jump contests to where you'll get a good enough contest to where the layup will more than likely not go in. Now right here we're in bad position and get a good jump though, and we get the stop. Yeah, no, long story short, the defense on this build is going to be serviceable, and you're definitely going to be able to get stops in the paint. All right, so now you guys can see the build fully maxed out, and now we're taking a look at the physicals as well. There are just a couple of things that I do want to highlight. We obviously went with the 55 speed because we don't want to be any slower on a 7'3" than we already are. And then when it comes to the acceleration, I like going all the way up to that 45 so we could get spot finder on bronze, which is actually a pretty decent badge to have on bigs considering you're going to be super slow. Tapping that right trigger so you could sprint a little bit faster, create a little bit more separation is going to be very nice to have. And then moving on to the strength, we're going to have a 79, which is going to get you access to badges like post move lockdown on silver. We're also going to have a 75 vertical, and this is why we went with the minimum weight on this 7'3" is because if you go any higher on the weight, you cannot get a 75 vertical, which is essential to get the elite big man standing contact dunks. All right, so now the build is complete. You're coming out of the My Player Builder, and you're going to get the player comparisons of Domantas Sabonis, Arvydas oh no, never mind, that's DeAndre Ayton and Joel Embiid. I saw that Portland Trailblazers logo and I thought it was going to be Arvydas, but that's going to be it for today's video. I had a lot of fun making this build, playing on this build, and that's it. I'm out of here. Bye!